Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here, returning to you this late morning, going into afternoon, early afternoon. So, this is for Bring Me the Horizon's new EP that we've been waiting on for, oh my god, like 3 years or so. It's been like 2.5 years or so, because the first single, Die For You, came out in September of 2021, and basically we've been waiting on a single since, or an EP, the next Post-Human release since then. But now we got a surprising announcement that it's dropping May 24th. And I'm doing the review now. I might be doing it a bit early, but I've already listened to all 16 tracks, and I'm going to discuss what I listened to for all 16 tracks, which is a runtime of 55 and almost 55 and a half minutes, and let you know my thoughts on this record overall. So let's dive into this album, our EP review, I guess you could call it. Technically, if it's 16 tracks, it seems like an album, honestly. So pretty much Dream Seeker is the opening track, OST Dream Seeker. It's only 19 seconds, so you're in for a short intro skit of a song. But it's actually not bad. It leads into one of my favorite tracks from the record. That is a regular song. So I'd give this a 5 out of 5. It's an interesting opener. It says, "Let's begin" at the end of it. So pretty much with what I listened to with that was good. Utopia is the next track, and that is quite an amazing song. I really like Ollie Sykes' vocals in this track, and just the way it's overall structurally sounding, melody-wise, mixing-wise, production. It's pretty strong. This was one of my favorite songs, and probably a personal favorite for sure for this record. So 5 out of 5. Kool-Aid was the last single we got for this Post-Human announcement and release, I guess. It wasn't really announced until the last minute. They said they were working on it and they were trying to get it out as soon as possible, but delayment issues, I guess. They keep in mind they delayed this record for like 2.5 years or so. So it's been needing to happen since 2022 or 2023 at least. But hey, at least they finally got it done. So pretty much with Kool-Aid, it was a great track. Ollie Sykes' screaming vocals. There's a lot of sound wave stuff, like echoing electronic work that goes kind of thing. And it kind of makes a little sound wave in a way that is a little interesting, but still the track was a banger for sure, and one of my favorites. So 5 out of 5. Top 10 Statues That Cried Blood. It's a regular track on the album, and it's pretty good. So I really dig it. There's a lot of electronic work in this track. That kind of is a little I wasn't unsure if I was gonna like it, but it grew on me as Ollie Sykes was singing the track, and it made it connect pretty well. So 5 out of 5. Limousine featuring Aurora, pretty good song. It starts off pretty sluggish for most of it, but it does pick up when the chorus comes in and progresses as the track goes on. So it is a strong track. It just have a few critiques, not many, but I'd give it a 5 out of 5 still. It's pretty good. Even Aurora sounded good in this track. So Dark Side was the 5th single for this record. Sorry about the background noise. My nephew's throwing a fit and all that. So pretty much Dark Side, great song. It was the last song that had Jordan Fish producing the track too and doing the mixing. And I think Jordan Fish would be proud of Bring Me the Horizon with what they accomplished with this finally next gen release and finally getting it out to the world. So I think he'd be proud of that and be like, that's good. At least they got it done. But still, 5 out of 5 for Dark Side. Great track. I like the mixing. I like the lyrics too. Talking about fighting your inner demons inside yourself and just dealing with depression and all that. So it basically is a battle of whims in a way. This track is trying to depict about. But I think Ollie Sykes did sound pretty good in this track. There was a little bit of a sound effects and all that. That's what the word I was thinking of, sound effects for the Kool-Aid song. But still, I think 5 out of 5 would work for this track. A Bullet with My Name On, featuring Spencer Chamberlain from Underoath. Great song. I mean, mixing wise, it's hit or miss, but it's still pretty strong of a track. I really like the screaming vocals through this track, and this track does connect with how it sounds. So this is another 5 out of 5. OST Spiritual is another intro track, another interlude song going into the next one, NA. So I think this was pretty interesting for 1 minute and 54 seconds, and it worked for what it was going for. So 5 out of 5. NA. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like some of the song, but it started progressing as the track went on, and some of Ollie Sykes' vocals did sound pretty good for most of it. So this is a 5 out of 5 too. Lost was the, I presume, third single for this record. Great track. Really recommend checking this song out. The music video's been out for, honestly, this track's been out for a year, so it's been out for a little bit, but still, great song. It took me a little bit of time to get used to this track, but it's grown on me, so 5 out of 5. I really dig it. Then comes Strangers, second single for the record. Great song. Really like what the message is behind it. Music video is pretty fucked up, I can tell you that. It's almost like American Horror Story in real life, in a way. It's some weird, fucked up shit. So the CGI in the video was fucked up. But overall, great song. Really enjoyed how the song was what it was depicting about with depression and how you're coping with it. And mostly, with the last singles, Lost, the song I talked before, he was mostly talking about his ketamine addiction in that track, Ollie Sykes, and how he was basically coping with it and all that. So, pretty much, I'd give Strangers a 5 out of 5. R.I.P. Dustcore Remix is pretty good in its own way. It's one of my least favorites. I mean, there's some moments where it's strong, but there's some weak moments too from time to time. But overall, I'd give it a solid 4.75 out of 5. It's pretty good, but it has its hit or miss moments, so yeah. Then you get Amen, which I do like how RIP leads into the next track, Amen, with the kind of gap and cutting it off and then going into like a little section to introduce the Amen track, which Amen was my favorite song, by the way. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, I already love it already. So, 5 out of 5. Lil Uzi Vert sounded pretty good in this track, even though there were some hit or miss moments. Daryl Palumbo sounded really good with his scream vocals, and Glassjaw was mixing it pretty well. So, pretty much, I think this track worked for what it was going for, and I think I'd give it a 5 out of 5. OST Pussy, I guess is what you call it. 5 out of 5 too. It's pretty well mixed for most of it. I mean, there's some cluttery moments from time to time, but it's still strong for what it goes for. Then Die For You, the first single we got to introduce this new cycle of the post-human era for next gen. Pretty much, this was supposed to be on a post-human club hellhole for a time, but it never happened, and they kind of scrapped that and tried to basically go with something else, which is Next Gen, Posthuman. But overall, I think Die For You was a great song. It took a little time to grow on me, I can tell you that. There were some cringy moments through this track, but overall, it executed pretty flawlessly with what I was going for. A lot of electronic work. It's kind of a EDM meets metalcore kind of song, but it still works for what it's going for, so 5 out of 5. Dig It is a pretty good song in its own way. It is the last track to close this record, and overall, it's still strong, but there are some execution flaws with how it's sounding overall from time to time. There's some good breakdowns for certain sections of the track, but I think this track is pretty good for what it goes for as the closing track. The outro to it is weird as fuck, but it works. So 4.75 out of 5. Overall production, mixing, and execution wise, I found this to be one of the best EPs or releases that I've listened to from Bring Me the Horizon. Maybe it's a studio album, I don't know. I'm just putting in the title Next Gen Review because it's unsure what it is, but pretty much I think this was a strong release. And I'm glad they finally got this out to the world. And after 2.5 years, or a little over, somewhere in that range. But I still think it's a strong record. And I recommend checking it out for yourself to see what you think of it. Not everyone's going to like it, but it's an acquired taste. Bring Me the Horizon is an acquired taste. But for as long as I've listened to them, I've grown to really love their music since 2019. 2018, 2019, when I first got into them. I was listening to their older records, Sempiternal, and some of their older records too, but pretty much, I think this is very interesting of a record, more evolutionized in a way. It evolved with its sound a little more. Longer tracks, longer track listing, but 55 minutes. It's longer than the last release, which was like 9 songs, which was Survival Horror, but I still think this was a strong release, and I'm glad Ollie Sykes and the band got this out to the world and was able to finish up on this production and mixing and the finishing touches for the record. So if I were to give this a score, I'm going to give it a strong rating of a 9.5 out of 10. Really good release. Highly recommend you check this record out when it comes out at midnight tonight. And with that being said, 9.5 out of 10 for Bring Me the Horizon's new record, Posthuman Next Gen. We finally got it after all this waiting. And thank you, Bring Me the Horizon, for delivering quite a surprise for us at the last minute. And with that being said, props to Bring Me the Horizon for this release. I really love the song Utopia. It's one of my favorites off this record. And there's some other ones I like too, but mostly it's a strong record. So with that being said, hope you guys have a good rest of your Thursday afternoon, and thanks for watching.